तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। श्रुति स्मृति पुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शंकरं लोकशंकरं शंकरं शंकराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ओम त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव देव। ओम गुरुदेव भगवान शिव शंकर भोलेनाथ कैलाशपति महाराज की जय हो। भगवान व्यास जी महाराज की जय हो। शंकराचार्य भगवान की जय हो। स्वामी चिन्मयानंद भगवान की जय हो। स्वामी दयानंद भगवान की जय हो। स्वामी प्रभुदानंद भगवान की जय हो। स्वामी शुद्धानंद भगवान की जय हो। साध्वी आनंद ज्योति जी की जय हो। माता पिता की जय हो। सभी गुरु देवताओं की जय हो। सभी गुरु देवताओं की जय हो। श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा। श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा। Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, and verse number we have to see is 22 and 23. Together we will see, in which Bhagwan says the yoga that Krishna talks about is more a disassociation than an association. The yoga is disassociating rather than associating with anything. This we will see. Yam labdhava cha param labham मन्यते ना अधिकं ततः यस्मिन् स्थितः न दुःखेन गुरुणापि विचालयते तं विद्यात दुःख संयोग वियोगं योग संगितं स निश्चयेन योक्तव्यः योगः अनिर्वाण चेतस। Cha and. Cha means and. In Sanskrit, cha means and. Labdhava, having gained. Labdhava. Tata adhikam, better than that. Aparam, other. Labham, gain. Na manyate, does not think. Yasmin, in which. Sthitah, established. Guruna api, dukkhena. Guruna api dukkhen. Even the great sorrow. Na vichalayate, is not affected. Tam, that. Dukkha samyoga viyogam, disassociation from association with sorrow. Disassociation from sorrow disassociation from association with sorrow. Yoga samjanitam, called by the name of yoga. Vidyat, may one know. Anirvina chetsa, with the mind that is not discouraged. Sah yoga, that yoga. Nishchena, with clarity of purpose. Yoktavaya, should be pursued. And having gained, Bhagavan says, and having gained with which one does not think there is other better gain than that, established in which one is not affected even by a great sorrow, greatest sorrowful event. Or let's say, the greatest sorrowful event is death. The person is not affected by the death even. The one is not affected by the greatest possible sorrow. May one know that disassociation from association with sorrow to be what is called as yoga. That yoga should be pursued with clarity of purpose, with a mind that is not discouraged. Let's see what Swamiji says. The person being discussed here does not slip away with the truth of oneself, away from the truth of oneself. Atma Tattva, because Atma is not some place he or she went to and then came back and then returned. No. Atma is not some place. When it is said that you go to the abode of Atma, abode means house, home of Atma, and rejoice there, some location comes in mind and the question then becomes, for how long? As soon as it is said that you go to the abode of Atma, the place comes in Swargaloka or Vaikuntha Loka. All these places come into mind. Then the question also comes, then how long, sir, will you stay there? All kind of imaginations are possible. You may think it like going somewhere as a guest, staying as long as you are entertained and then afterward coming back. However, when it is clear that remaining with Atma is in terms of knowledge of Swarupa of Atma, conveyed here by the expression Tattva na chalati, then there is no question of ever being away from it, because remaining does not depend even on memory. People sometimes ask Swamiji, ask to our Swamiji, Bade Swamiji, Swamiji, suppose I forget the Atma, you can forget the words I used to point out the Atma, but you cannot forget the meaning of those words once you have understood. The meaning of the words is Atma. You can forget Satchitananda, but if Sat is understood by you, Chit is understood by you, and Atma is understood by you, how can you forget it? Once understood can never forget. The words themselves are only the Lakshana of Atma, for revealing the nature of Atma. Therefore, they can be forgotten. But the meaning is you. Meaning is not other than you. So once understood, it is forever. How can you forget yourself? You cannot, because knowing yourself is not something that is memory based. Even if you lose your memory in an accident or whatsoever, it is the same. You only lose the memory You don't lose the memory. The Atma remains the same. Same. Moksha is a matter of understanding, not of memory. People often pose question to Swamiji. Swamiji, suppose Jnani, a man who has already has a self-knowledge and has a car accident and lose all the use of his brain cells. His head is smashed up. He remembers nothing, not even his own name. Isn't his knowledge of Atma also gone? Swamiji says, no. His knowledge is not gone because there was no his knowledge. There was no his knowledge. There was only the self is Brahman. I am Atma Brahma. Recognizing this fact, he was already liberated. There is only one moksha, and that take place while living Jivan Mukti. Moksha is a matter of understanding, not of memory. And once you gain this knowledge, understanding, there is no moving away. Then the question may come, Swamiji, suppose I do gain Atma, then what should I do? Previously you had many adventure and now you are thinking about having an Atma adventure. Naturally you want to know what your next adventure will be after Atma have been gained. You have been to Caribbean or to Hawaii. You have scaled mountains, skied the slopes, and you have learned how to roller skate. All these adventures being over, you say, let me do some Atma adventure. Let me see what is all about, what it is all about. Because there are people who keep talking about it, wanting to cover everything. You come to Atma and you want to adventure one more, as if Atma is to be adventured. This wanting to cover everything is a different attitude than that of a mumukshu. Unlike the mumukshu, this person does not want anyone to know more about anything that he or she knows. Perhaps the person had heard the word Atma or Brahman at some dinner party, and she wants to know what it is all about, so as not to appear ignorant in this particular area. Suppose in the process of finding out, this person gets caught in this particular pursuit and get this Atma Jnana Atma now being covered. What would the person do next is the question. Some people really think like this. They say they have tried this and that, they have tried Vedanta also. This verse is for such people. The word gain is used here with this kind of person in view. The one who always want to cover all areas. The word gaining, labhadva, means knowing, jnanatva. The jnana itself is the gain here, because it is sukha. The gain is in terms of human ends, purushartha. What people go after gaining Atma, the person does not think, namanyate, that there is anything other apara. What is better than Atma? Atma tatah adhikaha. What is better than knowing the Atma, the fullness? After knowing, understanding the fullness, there is nothing else left, sir. There is no better gain than self-knowing, knowledge. Why is there no better gain? Labha. because a gain is something that should make you better. If you gain something that makes you worse, is not a gain, it is a problem. You thought you bought a gain, but instead you bought a problem. Just like when you buy a property, the property itself is a great gain, but the litigation against it is the problem. This is one of the biggest problems. And because you do not know how to get out of the problem, the property is not really a gain, it is only a problem gained. Gain then means that you must feel that you are better off than you were before. If you gain Atma, it's a Swarupa, being Atayantika Sukha, Atyantika Sukha, a Sukha that is not dependent upon anything. Atyantik, because Atma is everything. It is Purna. What gain is greater than that? What else? How are you going to better it? By what are you going to better it? Therefore, the person discussed in this verse does not even think there can be another gain. He or she does not say, okay, I have seen Atma, now let me look for something else. There is no something else. Because something else is also Atma. There is nothing other than you. There is nothing else left. Because if there is anything left, then it is also Atma to be. Even if this is accepted, the question may then be asked, suppose the person does not come out of this gain and go after something else, there is nothing else. What happens if some great tragedy occurs to him or her? Will the person's ananda not be disturbed? No. Remaining in that yasmin sthitaha, meaning knowledge of Atma, the person is not affected even by some colossal tragedy. The person is not affected by anything. Dukkhena guruna api na vichalayate. The word guru has many meanings. Here it means big or heavy. Guru, heavy. And the opposite is laghu, meaning easy, simple, lightweight. One may be able to endure a great deal of pain or sorrow without being affected, but suppose a great tragedy happens, will the person not come out of that Atma in which he or she remains and go where? Go somewhere else? No, the person remains in Atma. To come out of Atma and go somewhere else is not possible, because somewhere else is also Atma, sir. Therefore, whatever the dukkha, the person remains in Atma. Confirming what Krishna has said previously when he said Tattvana eva chalati, the person never moves away. There is no movement. Here he says that this person is not shaken, not affected by any situation, because for this person all situations are also not other than Atma. The yoga Krishna is talking about here is yoga that is more a disassociation than association. In verse number 20, yoga referred to the practice of contemplation, the object of which is Atma. Mananaha, the object is Atma, seeing which one rejoice in oneself. Yatra aparamate chittam niruddham yoga sevaya. Yatra chaiva atmana atmanam रहस्येन आत्मनि tushyati. The yoga is called Jnana Yoga because Atma is seen with the mind with the help of knowledge. The Atma is seen one with the mind. There is no two things. Atma is one with the mind with the help of knowledge the one sees. And in the wake of this self-knowledge, naturally there is self-rejoicing because self-seeking is no longer there. Therefore, there is freedom from seeking. In verse 29, the nature of Atma was said to be absolute happiness. Recognized by the intellect and yet beyond sense perception, Sukham Atyantikam Yat Tad Buddhi Graham Atindriyam, knowing which one remains in oneself. Vitti yatra na chaiva ayam sthiti chalati tattvataha. The truth of oneself is absolute happiness, ananda, whereas all other happiness always depend upon mental condition. Ordinary enjoyments, bhoga, depends upon one's external and mental conditions. Some external object may be available in a situation and in form that is desirable. Even if the external situation is available, you may not be in the mood for it. Therefore, it has to wait for you to be in the better mood. You may have bought a particular tape of music, but you generally love, but not today. The music has to wait for you to enjoy it until you are in the mood for it. This is because the sukha that is born out of external conditions depend upon two situations: the external condition itself and the conducive internal mental condition. Whereas the Swarupa Sukha that we are talking about does not depend upon either. Rather, it is born out of the recognition of self being free from any sense of limitation. Bhagavan then points out that the person who recognizes this Swarupa Sukha never comes out of it because there is nothing better to be gained. Yam labdava cha aparam labdham labham manyate na adhikam tataha. The gain in the form of self-knowledge is also called yoga. It is not a challenge that once achieved and no longer holding your interest has to be followed by another challenge. Looking for a greater and greater challenges is based on the desire to prove oneself. To prove that one exists for one, which one has to do something adventurous, something different, something new, something challenging. Only then does one feel alive and not live like an old piece of furniture. Every day wants to earn, to prove oneself. Every day wants some love. Keep on doing adventures with the business. This feeling is what keeps people going, in fact, because they have to live within themselves. A challenge can become so important that they sacrifice everything for it. If a person does not feel that he or she is somebody, naturally the person has to create some challenge in order to feel I exist, I am something, and so on. In business they want to prove, I have earned this much, I have earned this much. I am, to prove I am. You don't need something to prove I am, that you exist. The resolution of seeking. Having gained Atma, then would I still have to create a new challenge for myself? No, because gaining Atma is a gain. gaining which there is no better gain. The person does not move from the truth of oneself. Tattva na chalati. Meaning that creating knowledge is resolved. The resolution is the gain, in fact. All seeking can be reduced to self-conclusion. Therefore, the resolving of the self-confusion is the resolving of the very self, very seeking itself. In this resolution, the seeker and the sought becomes one and the same, which was what Krishna meant in verse number 22, when he said, and having gained that Atma, one does not think that there is any other better gain. Yama labdhava cha aparam labdham manyate na adhikam tataha. If big tragedy should occur, what happens to the person? Krishna covers that too. He says, firmly established in the Atma, he or she is not disturbed even by greatest sorrow. Yasmin sthita dukkhena guruna api na vichalayate. Therefore, there is no question of getting out of Atma. No external situation is going to affect the person, nor will the person become tired of oneself and get out. Moving away from something, one can take place either by slipping away from it, or by withdrawing from it, or by something else coming and disturbing you. But fullness cannot be disturbed in any way. Neither the world nor anything else can disturb fullness. Fullness accommodates every event that can take place in one's life. Also, fullness is not something that one can get out of, because it is oneself. Therefore, knowing all that has been discussed in the previous 3 verses, there is no coming back from the sukha that is Atma. The gain of it, the joy of it, the fullness of it, the freedom of it, all that has been pointed out is called yoga. Yoga samajanitam. Samajanitam. Krishna says. Thus he gives us a new way of looking at the word yoga. The root yuga, from which the word yoga is derived, has 2 meanings. Yogana and Nirodha. Yojana means connecting. Yoga, connecting or uniting 2 things. Yoga, connecting 2 things. When 2 things are put together, it is called yoga. Whereas Nirodha means control, stopping, mastering, which is how Patanjali defines yoga in the 2nd sutra of the Yoga Shastra. Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha, meaning yoga is the mastery of one's thinking process, indicating that yoga is discipline by itself. Since both meaning of the word yoga are used in the Gita, we have to see from the context whether the word is used in the sense of union or control. Yoga also means uniting 2 things, and one is to control. Here originally there seems to be a union of the mind with the Atma. The mind contemplates upon Atma, therefore Atma becomes Dheya, the object of contemplation. The mind is the one that becomes united with the object of contemplation, Atma, and attempt to unite the 2 is called yoga, which is the sense we generally get from the word yoga. It implies 2 different things coming together, just as 2 people came together in marriage, a connection, sambandha, or whatever the nature of connection may be. What is joined together can also fall apart. Whenever two things come together, there is a tendency for them to fall apart also. Therefore, they have to be kept together somehow. If two people are involved, the tendency is for them to move away from each other, each one going off in opposite direction. Similarly, two pieces of material tied together will stay together only as long as that which bind them last. Once the binding factor wears out, the two pieces of the material will fall apart. Here too, the mind can move away from Atma if it is attracted by some external object. It can be disturbed by a vritti, thought, for which there is an object, for which you are given senses, etc. And if your senses do not operate, your memory is always there. Your memory of certain object is always there to divert your mind. Your memory is good enough to provide you with the whole world. Because of memory, the mind will never find itself wanting in terms of object to think about. Therefore, the sense of connection between mind and Atma conveyed by the word yoga makes it seem that mind contemplating on Atma will come away from Atma, because the word yoga has intrinsic problem. Krishna redefines it here in an opposite sense. This redefinition is called Viparita Lakshana, meaning that the word is used in its limited sense, and that then the limitations are knocked off by redefining it. In fact, the words have to be used. The whole teaching is like this. A particular word is used and then its limitations are knocked off to reveal its absolute sense, which is Atma. Yoga, disassociation from association. Until now, Krishna used the word yoga in its limited sense, and here he knocks off the limitations. In fact, he knocks off the every word itself by presenting yoga in different way. He defines yoga as samyoga, viyoga. Some yoga has some meaning, same meaning as yoga. Union, the prefix sama, conveying the sense of being very well united. When the prefix sama is replaced with the prefix vi, the resultant word is viyoga, which conveys exactly the opposite meaning, that is disassociation. Some yoga means association, and wherever there is association, there can be disassociation, which is meaning of viyoga. In either case, the word yoga remains, the prefix being replaced by the other to create the opposite meaning. For this reason, prefix upsargas are very important in Sanskrit. In English also, prefix can be used in this way, as in declinable and indeclinable. For example, there is a negative prefix is used to arrive at the opposite meaning of the word. Similarly, prefix vi is added to yoga, point out the negative aspect of the absence of yoga. In this way, Krishna is saying that the yoga we are talking about here is more a disassociation than as association. All that was said before in terms of yoga, how to sit, how to live one's life, and so on, the disciplines that are advised earlier are for the sake of which yoga? For the yoga being discussed here in the previous 3 verses. May one know that tama vidyat, may one know that yoga as what? As dukkha samyoga viyoga, as the disassociation from the associations with sorrow. This is what Krishna calls yoga here, and this is the yoga that is to be known योग samjanitam tam vidyat. Association with dukkha means association with pain, with sorrow. Anything undesirable is connected with dukkha. There is dukkhena samyoga. And this union or association with dukkha is no ordinary association. It is very well entrenched association, because this association with sorrow is not ordinary. Krishna uses the word samyoga here. No one wants to have dukkha, but the yoga with it, the union with it is so complete that although you want to get out of it, you cannot. Even though no one wants sorrow, everyone is subject to it. Since we do not want to be sad, why do we become sad? It is not that we want to get into the state of sadness, but then there is yoga with sadness, and that yoga seems to be some yoga, a connection that is very difficult to pull out of. In fact, we cannot pull out of. There is no way of pulling out. Sorrow is well entrenched, because it is the dukkha who wants to pull out of dukkha. It is the dukkhi that wants to pull out of the dukkha. People have been trying to pull out of dukkha, some yoga, but are not able to. Why not? Because it is the dukkhi, the sad person, who wants to pull out from dukkha. The very person who wants to pull out of dukkha has created the dukkhi by taking himself or herself to be limited, and therefore there is association with sorrow. Being associated with dukkha, how can he or she pull out? I am a human being, I am a mortal, I am a man, I am Brahmana, I am Kshatriya, I am young, I am old, I am this, I am that, I am only this much. For dukkhi, the one associated with sorrow, this is exactly what I is. The person thinks of himself or herself as limited, small, a sansari, one who is subject to pain and sorrow. The aham, the ego, by its very standing is doomed. It is very standing is on dukkha, on sense of limitation. In fact, it is nothing but the sense of limitation. Therefore, all I have to do is to be sad, is to remember myself. I just need to remind myself that how limited I am. What happens sometimes is that I forget myself, because the samsara has so many fascinating objects that can take my attention away from myself, from time being. That is when I forget myself. When I laugh and pick up those gleaming moment of joy, then afterwards I come back to remember myself, and that is enough to make me sad. However, I forget myself, I am fine, and whenever I remember myself, I feel sad because of that. I am. Therefore, dukkha samyoga is my self-identity with the body. Because I identify with the body, mind, sense complex, which is limited. I take myself to be limited, and I say, this is me. If this is me, then of course I am dukkhi. Fortunately, however, this is not me. When you say this is me, then you want to get rid of yourself. But how can you get rid of yourself Wherever you go, you are there very much. This is why wherever you go, you carry your dukkha along with you. You do not even need a situation to cause you dukkha. You just go and it will be there with you. Furthermore, you will contribute your dukkha to others. Even if you go to a place where everyone is laughing, sitting in a corner, you will create dukkha in that place because you have brought dukkha with you. This is the nature of sansari. It is not something unique to given person. Every sansari, wherever he or she goes, is going to create dukkha in that place because he or she is a dukkhi. This is some yoga, the union between Atma and Anatma. Atma Anatma Sanyoga. The word dukkhi reveals an I, a person. And that person is separate from that cause. What caused the person sorrow, dukkha? The person is what we call Atma, and what causes the person dukkha is Anatma. And between this person, Atma and Anatma, there is some yoga. How did the person get this some yoga? Atma, as we have seen, is pure Chaitanya, consciousness. Its nature is consciousness. It does not have any kind of attributes. If Atma had any attribute, it would stick there always and you would not be able to know anything new. The nature of Atma consciousness then does not have any particular attribute. This being so, how consciousness has some yoga? How is that between Atma and Anbodh Atma there is Sanyoga? Ignorance makes it impossible. Possible. Consciousness has Sanyoga. In fact, Sanyoga is possible because of ignorance. Avidya. By definition, ignorance is capable of making the impossible possible. Avidya is capable of doing anything. It can even make a snake out of a rope and mirage water out of a desert sand. Avidya can create water in sand. Ignorance can do all these things because there is lack of knowledge. This means that the connection between Atma and Anatma, Atma Anatma Sambandha is brought about purely by aviveka, lack of discriminative knowledge. Therefore, that there is dukkha samyoga is established. When dukkha samyoga is established and I understand this samyoga, then the next step is to find the way to withdraw from dukkha. But because the connection itself is born of avidya, there is no physical withdrawal possible. There is nothing, no physical withdrawal. The association with dukkha being born out of lack of discrimination, disassociation from association that Krishna refers here is dukkha samyoga viyoga, can only be by knowledge. Association with dukkha is due to self-loss, a self-confusion, and therefore a self, not self-identity, that is resolved by discriminative knowledge. In other words, I have to know that Atma is Atma and Anatma is Anatma, but that Atma is not Anatma. Therefore, there is nothing separate from me. There is only Atma. If Atma and Anatma were two separate entities enjoying the same reality, then there would be no moksha. An inquiry would just bring in one more item because of which one would feel separate. Atma would be one entity sitting somewhere and the many anatmas would be something different again. I would have same problem. But extending to include the separate entity called Atma. Unfortunately or fortunately, Anatma is never separate from Atma at any time. No thought can exist apart from consciousness, that is Atma. While one depends upon the other does not depend on it. Viyoga means seeing Atma as distinct from Atma. Now you have a situation wherein dukkha samyoga itself is not there unless you take the thought or any other anatma as I. This is because anatma is not distinct from Atma. This is the yoga of dukkha, samyoga viyoga, which is more a disassociation than an association. The binding material could go away, but since it is disassociation, there is no possibility of the mind coming away from Atma. Whatever you are bound, whatever you are bound to can go away, which is what happens with any happiness. That depends on time at various conditions. When the conditions change, any experience, whatever is gone. Therefore, anything experimental is definitely dependent upon or associated with the conditions, and it will go away. But if it is not experimental, it is more a disassociation from your false association. It will not go anyway. This disassociation is what is called disassociation by knowledge. Jnanena viyoga. Disassociation by knowledge. There is nothing physical about it, because anatma is Atma. You cannot pull Atma away from anatma. Nor is there any necessity to do so, because Atma is no way involved in anatma. This is recognition, this is knowledge, this is jnana, which is more a disassociation than an association, is what Krishna calls yoga here. May one know that disassociation from the association with the sorrow is yoga. Tam dukkha samyoga viyogam yogam vidyata. If an association with something or something is legal association, then you can only become disassociated from it legally. And if the association is physical, the disassociation will also be physical. If two physical objects are brought together, they can be separated by removing whatever binding factor that closed the physical distance between them in the first place. Here the binding factor between Atma and Anatma is avidya, ignorance. The binding factor being avidya, what removes the association is vidya, knowledge. The yoga, dukkha samyoga viyoga, from which there is no question of loss, beyond which there is nothing greater, which is an end in itself, which is yourself, is not an association. It is more of withdrawal from dukkha. And therefore it is easy, just as it is easier to drop something than lift it. The only problem here is that dropping happens to be the dropping of ignorance, dropping all one's false notion about oneself, which is not easy to do. It is not just a matter of surrendering them onto the Lord, as some would have us think. Erroneous notion cannot be surrendered. It has been said that in present age, Kali Yuga, Devotion is the easiest path. You simply surrender to the Lord and He will take care of everything. But what do you surrender? Whom do you surrender? Since everything belongs to the Lord, who are you to surrender anything? This is like my taking your coat and then telling you that I am surrendering it to you. There is no surrendering here. Then what are you doing to surrender? And where does it go? Whatever is surrendered does not go anywhere. It all just remain there as it is. If you surrender something to Lord and He says thank you, picks it up and goes away, then you may have surrendered something. But if He does not picks up anything, therefore you do not surrender anything. And who is it that surrenders? Myself. You say, but you are going, but how are you going to surrender yourself? This only means that you want to surrender perhaps because you think your ego is little blotted and needs to be kept in check by performing acts of surrender. But who is this I that has to surrender? I cannot surrender the I. Therefore has to be another I to surrender this I. That I wants to surrender is Ahankara, the ego. It is a false entity. It is not Aham, I, Atma. The Ahankara is a notion and it cannot go away unless you falsify it. This falsification of the ego is what is called Jnana, knowledge, and surrender as well. Jnana is a surrender, knowing. Falsification of your ego through knowledge is called surrender. The yoga discussed here is also the same. That is the yoga that has to be undertaken. Sayoga nishchena yuktavaya, meaning that it definitely has to be practiced by you. Dropping notion about oneself is difficult because ignorance is involved. At the same time, it is easy because all you have to do is destroy the ignorance. The destruction of ignorance is only difficult in your mind. This destruction of ignorance is only difficult if your mind is not prepared. Trying to make a 2-year-old child understand that 1 plus 1 is 2 does not work because the child mind is not yet ready, is not prepared. Whereas once the child has undergone the necessary preparation, it is very easy. Self-knowledge is only pursuit that solves the problem. Similarly, if you are already cheerful, it is easy for you to understand that you are Brahman, that you are the whole. Sansara can give you this preparation. It can make you a fairly cheerful person. If you live very intelligently, but Sansara also gives you dukkha, and if you come to Vedanta to remove this dukkha, Vedanta will just become another pain in your neck. Vedanta is meant for a cheerful person because to understand you are Ananda, you have to be fairly cheerful. So Vedanta is not an answer for an ordinary sorrow of Sansara, which is why there is Karma Yoga, which includes Ashtanga Yoga and other such disciplines. Nor does one have to have all the qualification, Viveka, Vairagya, Samadama, etc. and Mumukshutva in full measure. Such people exist only on paper. Living a life of Karma Yoga means living a religious life, not a secular life. A prayerful life prepares the mind for the knowledge that is Vedanta. In wake of this knowledge, all the notions about oneself get dropped. Therefore, it is easy and it is difficult. And it has to be done yuktavaha. Even if it is difficult, one better goes for it, because there is nothing more appealing, more inspiring. And if it is easy, where is the difficulty? One goes for it also. There is nothing more attractive or more purposeful, because the whole pursuit is for oneself and is the only one that solves the problem. How is this knowledge to be persuaded? Nishchayana, by understanding what is real and what is unreal, by knowing with certainty that this clarity is to be gained by me, by viveka, discrimination. Further, Bhagwan says, aniravena cheshtha, aniravena cheshtha, by a mind cheshta that is not dejected, frustrated, tired, aniravena, by the mind that is not indifferent, affiliated or discouraged. Can you understand all these without becoming discouraged? Of course you can, because it is more a disassociation, viyoga, from sorrow. Therefore there is nothing to discourage you on any score. There is nothing greater either. So what is there to be discouraged about? Even if it were discouraging, there is nothing else available. So what are you going to do? So without being discouraged, aniravena cheshta, and with singleness of purpose, nishchena, thus yoga should be undertaken by you. Yoga yuktavaha. In fact, we are always trying to get rid of sorrow, to drop dukkha samyoga. We are constantly searching for dukkha samyoga. Samyoga viyoga. This is yoga that get rid of sorrow. Thus Bhagwan used the word yoga here in sense of viyoga. So further we will see in verse number 25, when Bhagwan talks about yoga in the sense of viyoga. This we will see tomorrow. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudashyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Om Gurubhyo Namaha.